Everyone is talking about human trafficking and how horrible it is, and it is absolutely terrible, and it's happening every day across the world. But I don't hear the conversation about spiritual trafficking, and it's a shame because there's a lot of overlap, but not always. You don't always have the physical slavery that you see in human trafficking, but there is definitely a spiritual slavery that is happening. More than that, there are people, actual people who do not serve the Lord, unfortunately, and they are buying and selling people spiritually. I know this sounds insane, right? But I have lived it, I understand it, I know that it happens, I've seen it happen. In fact, it's what got me back into the fight. For a long time, I just wanted nothing to do with anything. Just I wanted out. I wanted to be done and free of all things occult, all things, anything. I just wanted to be left alone. But I kept seeing these things happen in front of me. And the people participating did not know that I knew or could see what they were doing. This is what got me back into the fight. When I started to see that doing nothing is a choice, when you have the power, and when I say power, the knowledge and the ability to be aware of what's happening, and you do nothing and you say nothing, then you are complicit. You might as well be helping them. And I still forgive those people. I still love those people. So please don't think that I don't because of what I'm saying. But the facts are the facts. People are being bought and sold, spiritually speaking. And sadly, this is happening right under so many people's noses. It's happening in our churches, in our schools, everywhere. And it fills me with a rage. And I admit it. And I try really hard not to get angry. I really do. But it is very hard not to. And especially when you can see it and you know it's happening, but nobody else can see it yet. And it takes a long time for people to be aware of what's happening. But this is nothing new. This has been going on since the time of the apostles, since before that. There have been people enslaved, profiting others, being sold, being property. I mean, we see this in the book of Acts. I'll try to pull this verse up. When Peter, in 16:16, no, Paul, sorry, not Peter. Paul, and there was a slave girl who had the spirit of divination. But she was property, right? This is still happening now. So let me explain. This is why it's so sinister. The people that own these slaves, they don't have to get their hands dirty. They're not practicing witchcraft. They're not divining, but they are profiting from it. And so all they have to do is get the person to do what they want. And this is where the slavery comes in. And that too, I am aware of. And it's hard to see. It's hard to find who is pulling the strings, who owns the slave. It's not like it was in biblical times where it was physical slavery as well as spiritual slavery. Now it's spiritual slavery, but the physical slavery is subtle, it's brainwashing, and it's manipulation and all of these other things. But it's happening. And then there's so many other aspects of this spiritual trafficking as well. And I could go into that. But I'm not today. All I'm saying is that as we pray for the human trafficking that's going on, we need to pray for all of these people who are enslaved, that are being kept enslaved by their slave masters. They aren't able to be delivered because the person that owns them is keeping them from being delivered. And people want to talk about spiritual warfare. They don't understand that. Sometimes it's not as simple as just casting that spirit out. Because those people are going to come back and want to put that spirit back with that person. All sorts of evil, heinous things that I am very aware of. But to everyone else, they don't even know it's happening. And then the person who is the slave is then blamed for everything that happens because the person pulling the strings, no one even knows about. Oh, it breaks my heart. I see it happen all the time. And I am hated and accused because I know and because I see. And it's okay. Refer back to the being the first witness. No one believes the first witness. It's okay. But it still is happening. And we can pray about this. We can take this to the Lord, not with a spirit of hatred for the slave master, but a spirit of love for the slave. We are supposed to free the oppressed, to drive out demons, to heal the sick. He told us to go do this. That was not a joke. That was not a if you feel like it or if it fits in your schedule. This is our job as believers. And your responsibility is proportional to your understanding, knowledge, and ability given to you by God. Given to you by God. Not by you, but by God. He prepared you. He gives you the authority. So I'm not saying that somebody who knows very little about it should go running head first into something like that. God would still deliver whatever. I have faith in that. But we still have a responsibility. And if we are ignoring this huge, huge problem, no one will ever be free. No one will ever be free. You can free their bodies, but if you don't free their minds and their spirits, then what's the point? What's the point? Their bodies are temporary, but their spirit, their soul, that's what matters. I'm not saying the physical body doesn't matter. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we need to do both. We can't neglect the weightier matter. Okay? And I just really felt like I needed to bring this to people's attention. They don't know it's happening. They don't know how to look for it. They don't even pray about it. They just automatically, and I'm saying they, and myself included, I have to guard against this, judge the slave. Just like people judge the prostitute and not her pimp. They judge the drug addict and not the drug dealer. I'm not saying we should judge the drug dealer either, but we need to recognize what is actually happening, right? These people didn't get this way just because. They didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be a prostitute, or I want to be oppressed by this spirit that someone's going to use me to do whatever, right? Or if someone has a spiritual gifting and then people want to use that. And so they attach themselves, like Daniel said, that those people would attach themselves to, well, not those people, but that people would attach themselves to them with flatteries. I mean, there's all sorts of ways that people are using people spiritually. And those things, they trouble me. And partially because I see them before others do, and it's like heartbreaking just watching it happen and feeling helpless. But we're never helpless, not completely. We can always pray, and we should be praying and asking God what we can do in each situation. And if it's pray, then pray. But if it's to act and if it's to speak, then be obedient to the Spirit, because you may just be a catalyst for changing someone's life.